millionaire saw his black maid doing this, and it changed his life forever. He was used to coming home to silence. A house so big, it often felt empty. But that day, arriving earlier than usual, the millionaire walked through the doors and froze. In the center of his mansion, his black cleaner was doing something he never expected. Something that would change not only how he saw her, but how he saw himself. What he witnessed was not theft, not betrayal, but something far more shocking. Something that exposed truths about class, race, and humanity itself. And once he saw it, he could never unsee it. David Harrington had everything. A mansion overlooking the city, a fleet of luxury cars, and enough wealth to never worry about tomorrow. To the world, he was the picture of success, a self-made millionaire who had clawed his way to the top. But behind closed doors, his life was routine, predictable, and, if he was honest, lonely. Every morning he left before sunrise, and every evening he returned well after dark. The only people who filled his mansion were those paid to be there: gardeners, drivers, and his cleaner, Angela. She was quiet, efficient, and almost invisible. In fact, David barely noticed her most days. She came, she worked, and she left. Angela's job was simple: keep the marble floor spotless, the chandeliers dust-free, and the glass wall shining. For David, she was just another service, like the chef who delivered meals or the concierge who booked flights. He had never thought about her life, her struggles, or who she really was. But fate has a strange way of pulling back the curtain. One Friday afternoon, David's business meeting ended early. For the first time in months, he pulled into his driveway before sunset. He stepped inside his mansion expecting silence. Instead, he heard faint sounds echoing from the grand hall. Curious, he followed the noise, and that's when he saw it. Angela was on her knees in the center of the marble floor. But she wasn't scrubbing or polishing. She wasn't cleaning at all. Spread before her was a small stack of books, worn, old, and clearly not part of the millionaire's decor. And in her hands, she held a tattered notebook, scribbling furiously. David froze in the doorway, watching. Angela hadn't noticed him. She was lost in her work, her lips moving silently as though rehearsing words. He stepped closer, and that's when he realized she was writing stories. Not just any stories. Angela was copying down passages from famous speeches, blending them with her own words. Speeches about justice, freedom, equality. Words that carried the pain of history and the hope of tomorrow. In that pristine, towering mansion, built on privilege and excess, she was pouring her soul into a notebook. Her cleaning uniform was worn at the edges, her shoes scuffed, but her eyes burned with determination. David didn't know what to do. Part of him was confused, even annoyed. She was supposed to be working. He was paying her to clean, not sit on his marble floors scribbling like a student. But another part of him, one he had long buried, felt something else. Guilt, curiosity, even shame. He took a step closer, and the floor creaked. Angela jolted, her notebook snapping shut. She looked up, eyes wide with fear, as though caught committing a crime. I'm sorry, sir, she stammered. I was just... I'll get back to work. But David didn't respond. His eyes lingered on the notebook, on the book stacked neatly beside her. One title caught his eye, The Souls of Black Folk. Another, Letter from Birmingham Jail. This wasn't a cleaner passing time. This was a woman fighting for something more. Angela's hands trembled as she gathered her things, but David spoke at last. What are you doing? Her voice was barely a whisper. Studying. Writing. I want to tell our stories. My mother cleaned houses her whole life. My grandmother too. I don't want the cycle to continue. I want to be heard. David felt a knot tighten in his chest. In all his wealth, in all his power, he had never considered what it meant to be unseen. For the first time, David saw Angela not as an employee, not as a cleaner, but as a human being standing at the intersection of struggle and hope. Her notebook was more than paper. It was a lifeline. But what shook him most wasn't her dream. It was the realization of how blind he had been. He had walked past her 100 times without acknowledgement. He had given more attention to his cars, his investments, his wine collection, than to the woman polishing the floor beneath his feet. And here she was, after hours of unseen labor, carving out moments in secret just to write words that mattered. Angela clutched her notebook close, waiting for him to scold her, maybe even fire her. Her eyes glistened with fear, the fear of someone who had been silenced too many times before. But David couldn't speak. The mansion felt different now. The walls seemed taller, the silence heavier. He realized the truth. He had all the wealth in the world, but no story worth telling. She, on the other hand, had lived through struggles, injustices, and resilience that could fill volumes. The power dynamic was clear. He was the millionaire, she the maid. Yet in that moment, he felt small. Angela finally whispered, "Please, don't take this from me." Her words pierced him deeper than any business deal ever had. For the first time, David Harrington, the man who thought he had everything, realized he had never understood what it meant to fight for something. That evening, David didn't fire Angela. He didn't reprimand her. Instead, he asked her about her writing. Slowly, cautiously, she shared pieces of her stories. About her mother's tired hands, about her own struggles raising children alone, about the invisible weight of being both black and poor in a world that pretended not to see. David listened. Really listened. And for the first time, he felt the walls of his privilege crack. In the weeks that followed, he did something no one expected. He gave Angela time, space, resources. Not charity, opportunity. A corner of his vast library became hers. He bought her new notebooks, a laptop, even offered to connect her with publishers. It wasn't about him saving her. It was about him finally recognizing her worth. Angela's writing grew, her voice sharpened, and before long, her essays began to circulate online. People read them. People felt them. The words of a woman once invisible inside a millionaire's mansion were now echoing far beyond its walls. David's life changed too. For all his wealth, this was the first time he understood legacy wasn't measured in assets, but in impact. And it had taken the courage of his cleaner to show him. Some say life's biggest revelations don't happen in boardrooms or bank accounts, but in quiet, unexpected moments when the truth can no longer be ignored. David had come home early that day, expecting silence. Instead, he found a voice. And it left him asking a question that still lingers for us all. White right pointing backhand index, how many stories, how many voices, are we overlooking every single day?